I'm sitting here looking outside at the scenery that I used to have, and now it's all construction. But I will be going out earlier or later in the morning. So that's we had a snowstorm last night, and they were saying that it was going to snow, and then it was going to rain, and then it was going to freeze. So I wasn't sure if I was going to get out today, but it looks like it's okay. So I have a little bit of running around to do. But I was reading my book called Stand Up for Your Life by Cheryl Richardson. It's a really good book. And I was reading a couple of the chapters just for something to do until the time that I'm leaving. And I was thinking about the fact that I've recently joined a women's group. And it's a women's group that gives me, what would you say, companionship. It gives me that sense of belonging to society, right? And it's been tough. My transition to being an elder person, it's been pretty tough. I don't have a large support group. I don't have a large circle of friends. I did belong to some agencies at one point in the place that I live, but they've since closed down or moved to new venues or new environments, new areas. So that kind of limited my connection to other people, but I don't get out much. I don't drink, I don't go to bars, I don't smoke. I'm 64 years old. Your circle of friendships gets a lot smaller. A lot of the people that I know have passed and unexpectedly. Like many people that, some people, a lady I went to school with as a young person, she passed unexpectedly in a local city, and I was like shocked because this individual was pretty vibrant, and they were involved in their life. So they were involved in a lot of things, and I was really shocked and very saddened to see that happen. But I joined a women's group, and there's a solid connection there. Now, I'm not, I never really have been a very strong religious individual. I've believed in spirituality my whole life. When I was a very young child, it was a very strict parenting that was influenced by the church. And for me, that was not a healthy scenario. There was a lot of things that took place that were not healthy. And so I did join a women's group. It's a local women's group, and it is affiliated with a church. But they're not pushy. They're not pushy, and they're not rigid, and they're very open, right? So it took me a while to begin to let down my guard. But since I have had wonderful conversations with the women that have, joined this group. So other members of the group, I've become friends with some of them, and so it gives me that connection, right? It gives me that connection, and that's what I needed. So I was reading this book, and it was talking about how to communicate in a group, and I thought, that's kind of important. That's kind of important, and I have noted some of the things that I do that are not not necessarily group dynamic, you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to kind of go through them. I got to put my glasses on because I'm not 20 anymore. So here we go. I had my glasses left in the kitchen. Oh, wow. I'm doing really well today. I think I need another coffee. I allow myself one coffee a day, and so I think that I might have, that coffee should have been a little bit stronger. Anyway, okay, so it says, it talks about group guidelines, okay? And it talks about following group guidelines help create a safe place for a productive and enjoyable meeting. They help to eliminate the kind of habits that quickly dissolve a group. So, and then she goes through them, right? So the first one is to commit to confidentiality. And we do that in the group. We talk about things that affect our lives and us individually and as a group. And I'm telling you, it can get pretty animated. It can get pretty animated, which is not a bad thing because you're releasing your feelings and the emotions that go with it, right? And no one points an accusatory finger at anyone in the group. So they're very solid and they're very, very confidential. So it says commit to confidentiality. Everything that is said at a group, okay, especially if it's like a life makeover group, everything that's said should be strictly confidential. And it's almost like an unspoken or unwritten law, okay? And so we do that, and we do practice that in our group. Second, and this one is really, I know that I like to talk, and I'm very isolated where I am, and so when I do get in a group dynamic, I love to talk, and so I talk. And sometimes I talk and talk and talk, and I have to realize that my opinion is not the only opinion in the group. I have to kind of like step back a little bit and give other people the floor, right? So what it says give everyone equal time. Be sure that each person has a chance to speak, and while there certainly may be times when a member needs extra attention, it's important to prevent members from continuously dominating the conversation. So it says that, well, she's saying that it's one problem that she's seen ruin a group very quick. So you have to ensure that everyone gets equal time, and she suggests using a timer or an alarm clock to keep members on track. It's not a bad idea. I mean, it's kind of over the top, but it's not a bad idea. So your meeting should be focused on action, not social chit-chat. And ours is. We go through elements of speaking our personal truth and things. And so there's that, and then there's the group dynamic that is based on like a workshop, okay, on healing. Okay, so the next one is don't be critical or don't give unsolicited advice. Let each person ask or attain what it is that they need and that they're seeking. With me, it's it's the group dynamic. It's the feeling part of a group. It's the getting involved in activities and things like that, right? So each person needs to ask for what it is that they're looking or they're seeking for, and we do that. Okay, so the next one is share facilitation. So have someone new facilitate your meetings each time you meet to prevent the group from having a boss dynamic. We do have one lady that is in charge, which is a good thing because you also need to have organization, and you need to have like certain roles within a group. That's what I truly believe, and it works for us. I mean, if you're doing a group where everybody has equal say, you might get into a lot of conflict because some people have different ways of venues, different ways of believing, different ways of living, different belief systems, different ideologies, different values, even different religions, okay? So, you kind of have to give everyone their bit of time, but it's always good to have someone who is facilitating the group, who is acknowledging everyone's right to speak their piece, right? So giving everyone equal say, because you could end up with a free-for-all if you don't. So I think that's important. So share facilitation to a point. Okay, so it's also important for members who have a tendency to get caught up in the teacher role. Geez, that's a little bit like me. And they end up getting a teacher role and not end up getting the support that they need. And too often a member who needs the most support is the one who will take on the caretaker role of the whole group, okay? So avoiding this tendency by rotating leadership. Now, I don't know if I completely agree with the rotating leadership in our group, because in our group there is a facilitator, so that's a good thing. So the next one is to focus on the positive. So you put the attention on what works. Keep complaining and whining to a minimum, 1 minute or less. And there is a lady in our group, and she's a facilitator. And I have a tendency to I talk about things, and I try to make light of the problems in my life. And she's always bringing me back to grounding. Like, yes, what you experienced was horrible. So you need to acknowledge that. And I kind of make a joke of the things that I'm going through, the stresses that I'm going through. I make a joke of it, like, it's my age, or that's just my life, or whatever, right? But she has a tendency kind of rein me back in and say, no, you need to focus on healing. And healing means acknowledging the things that you have gone through. So she encourages me to talk, but she also encourages me to kind of keep it to a minimum so everybody gets a chance, right? So I do have a YouTube channel. Think about it. Okay, so here goes. Okay, so it says keep the complaining and whining to a minimum, 1 minute or less. So it says we all need to do it sometimes. If someone continuously comes to a meeting complaining or trying to cry about the same problem without taking any action to remedy the situation, this may be an indication that the member needs therapy. Oops. Or some other kind of individual support, okay? So do this member a favor and be honest. Have someone from the group contact the person privately and offer to help them get the support that they need. And don't let a fellow member suffer by being nice. Tell the truth. Kind of iffy on that. I'm kind of iffy on that. I don't think I have the right to tell you that your problems need support. Now, I might offer not a supportive role, but I might offer the information that they need. Say, here's a group that takes place every week, and it's a support group for the things like what you are dealing with. So maybe that would be an added bonus for you, and give them that number. But I don't think I would say, well, you need to go see a counselor, right? Because I think that would be very rude. So I would give them the phone number, or I would give them the avenue that they could go and find added support if they felt they needed it. So, being respectful is another thing in a group. Now, I like this one because it talks about speaking from your own experience. Use the word I, not you, when speaking to other members. I feel. Acknowledge how you feel. Acknowledge what it is that you believe in. I believe, right? So don't generalize beliefs. Acknowledge them as perhaps belonging to yourself, okay? Don't judge other people and don't tell them what they believe. Speak for yourself. That's a good one. That's a real good one. Okay, the last one that they have, it's called Honor the Group. So it talks about holding a regular check-in meeting to be sure that all members are satisfied with how the meetings are run. We basically do that. I think we do that every week when we meet. I think we do that. Like, if you're feeling uncomfortable with something, we feel comfortable enough to speak about it, to tell the other members, okay? So it says, tell the truth about how you feel. You might also check in at the end of each meeting once a month or once a quarter. If there's a problem, address it immediately. For example, if someone talks too much or ignores group guidelines by gossiping, you need to honor your group by telling the truth. Now, I don't see there being an issue in the group that I'm involved in with gossip or things like that. I mean, it's a learning process for me, and I'm sure for many of the other women in the group. But I mean, it's just a support system. It's a way of getting together and talking about our needs, our wants, our problems, and being respectful of everyone else's. So we do have workshops where we focus on the religious aspect of some of the healing that we're going through, and I'm okay with that. I have a history, a childhood history of a very rigid type of religious, what would you call it? Well, to me, it was abusive. It was, I was taught that religion was scary, and it's not. I was taught that believing in something else was scary. And as a child, it was scary. It was scary. If there was something that took place in my life where I was being disciplined for, I was made. I'll give you an example, and no one could speak against us because this is my truth, and this is what happened. So if there was something that I was inferred to do, where I was, basically that I did something wrong, that they believed that I did something wrong, my authority figure. My authority figure would put me on, had made homemade bean bags with the big white beans in almost like a little pillow, like a bean bag. And they would put the bean bags on the floor, and I'm only going to speak for myself, but there were other people involved, but I was made to kneel on these bean bags with bare knees, with my hands above my head, like this, and raised up to the good Lord up above. And if my hand slid and went down to my head, because as a little girl, I was small, maybe 4 or 5, and I was meant to be on my knees on these bean bags and upright. There was no slacking. You stayed upright, and this was influenced by the church, by some of the people who were involved in the church dynamic, and my authority figure became close with them and was encouraged to do this, and my authority figure did it. And I felt I was scared of my Lord. And it's a good thing to be scared to a certain point, like learning how to live your life good, but being scared to believe in yourself, being scared to believe that I was an individual, okay? I was terrified. I was terrified as a child of my religion, because there was that aspect of it where there was punishment. There was always punishment. There was always punishment that was like part of that process, that religious process. And so I kind of steered away from it. And over the years, I didn't like to go to church. I would go for funerals and weddings, but I wasn't part of that. I steered away from it. And now in my 60s, I'm starting to see that there is a portion of me, of my persona, that needs that connection to the spiritual realm, to my religious aspect, where I believe in the afterlife. I believe in my divine, okay? Just as you believe in yours. And everybody's entitled to their opinion. But it's not overly religious. I'm spiritual, okay? I'm spiritual. I believe in, my beliefs are my beliefs, but I do believe in a spiritual aspect to my life. And I think that makes me a balanced person, okay? Mind, body, and spirit. It's all part of my persona. So, so even though I joined this group, and it is based in a local church, it is more of more of a support group for women. And we get together and we talk about things, and there is a lot of camaraderie, and there's a lot of togetherness, and there's a lot of there is prayer that takes place, but I don't feel like I'm not made to go on my knees and go on beanbags. You know what I mean? It's an aspect of me where I thank the good Lord, or my divine, for the wonderful things that I have. Now, I've gone through a lot of health issues in my life, and a lot of other issues that have taken place in my life. And so, I'm glad to be here. I like the physical aspect of life, and so I do. At every single meeting, we say an acknowledgement prayer, and we also say a prayer as we're leaving the group. And I don't have a problem with that, because it's based on my beliefs. It's based on what I want to thank the good Lord for. So not based on what someone says, you did this wrong or you did that wrong. Mine is based on thanking my divine for the wonderful things in my life, not for focusing on the negative things in my life. Okay, so this group is amazing. I'm enjoying it. It's a once a week group, and I'm encouraging anybody out there who feels isolated, feels alone, join some groups. I am going to be joining the gym. I have put the funds away for a week membership at a time, 2 weeks a month. That's all I can afford. But that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to join a fitness group. I have this support group that I've joined already, and there is a senior association in my local area that I am going to join, and I'm going to see what type of activities they have in their venue, and I'm going to join that. So that's Mind, Body, and Spirit, and I'm holding tight to it. So this is a really amazing book. This is a really amazing book, and I would love to get a copy of this for each of my kids, because I know, I think it's important to stand up for your life, and that's the name of the book. So anyway, I shall see you in the next video. The good Lord be willing. Bye-bye.